Thanking you so much for taking the time.
My pleasure.
And please tell me, because it's 50 years since Star Trek started, and now you are here back in Bonn and meeting all those fans who would be maybe in most of the ways not even born
That's right.
as the series started. So what kind of honor, what kind of humbling feeling is it for you being in front of this audience and seeing so many people from maybe 3 or 4 generations?
Yes, we're celebrating the 50th anniversaries of Star Trek, and yesterday at the opening ceremony I looked out and I saw very few people that looked like they were the original fans. I can tell by the color of their hair or the absence of their hair. And most of the people, I'm sure, were not born at the time that Star Trek went on the air for the first time in 1966, 50 years ago. But here they are in enormous numbers helping us celebrate that half century.
Mm. And how much has Star Trek changed your personal life?
It has been a dramatic life changer. I was a struggling young working actor back then, but with Star Trek and its ensuing popularity, it's become a major career breakthrough for me. Certainly to be playing a role as a part of the leadership team of the Starship Enterprise and to be able to say my lines without an accent, because so often previously I was asked to have an accent for the characters that I played. And now with enormous popularity came this enormous recognition that comes with it. And it's wonderful, but also it comes with its responsibility. I have access to mics like this, cameras like this that I didn't. And what I can say on the camera and mic amplifies my word. And so I've been very effective in some of my social justice advocacy work. So it has been a major door opener in my life.
Mm. And Star Trek has done so much good for the world because they are not talking about some races between other people. It's just one human race, and it shows that we all are equal. Japanese people, Russian people, Afro-Hispanic people on board of a starship in one crew. So it, in my opinion, it done so much for peace between the cultures. What did you think about that fact, that you being on board this bridge that has influenced our world so much into a better one?
Well, Starfleet has a motto: infinite diversity in infinite combinations. And that certainly was visible in the makeup. Different races, different cultures, different histories, as the character of Pavel Chekhov showed. During the 20th century, we were, and particularly in the 60s, we were at the coldest point in the Cold War, and we showed that that too can be overcome. Here we are at the beginning of the 21st century, and that tension seems to be growing again. So that message has great relevance even 50 years after we started the show. We talked about the diversity of races. The struggle for African Americans to get equality was a big struggle led by Dr. Martin Luther King. And now we have an African American as the President of the United States. So we've made progress. And by infinite diversity and infinite combinations doesn't mean everybody's equal. People who have the capacity to fully achieve can fully achieve. Everybody's equal sounds a little socialistic. We wanted to have equality of opportunity, but certainly talent is not doled out equally. Intelligence is not doled out equally. So that we now have the opportunity for people to equally progress as far as they can and contribute as much as they can to the betterment of society. Infinite diversity in infinite combinations.
Mm. And one last question from me, because I love this behind-the-scenes stories. I know it's long ago, but if you remember during the shooting of the original series, or maybe of one of the Star Trek movies that you are in, do you remember some very funny things from behind the scenes? Because I think in such a huge production, also in sci-fi, maybe something go on that should not go on. Do you remember some funny moments from behind the scenes?
Well, in Star Trek 3, the script arrived, and I was reading it, and there's one scene where one of the security guards says to me, "You mind your business, Tiny." Well, I can't remember, but he referred to me as Tiny, and I had a big discussion with our producer-writer, Harv Bennett. I said, no, we can't call Sulu Tiny. He's making an enormous contribution to the Starship, and the fans love him, and they don't see him as a tiny person at all. He's heroic. We must get rid of that line, that reference to me as tiny. Harv was astounded. He said, "George, that's a wonderful scene for you, because the guy that calls you tiny, you throw him over, and you have the line, 'Don't call me tiny.'" But I said, no, it would never work. It would never work. The fans would be absolutely shattered. They would be so disappointed for Sulu to be called tiny. And so finally, we compromised. We said, we'll do it both ways. One where I am called tiny, and I do throw him over, and I tell him, "Don't call me tiny." And another version where I'm not called tiny, and I still throw him over. I saw the finished product, and I said, "Harv, you're right. It works." And so Harv's version is the one that finally made it to the screen.
I remember that scene. It's
but
gorgeous.
You don't
it's
remember
great.
The other scene without.
No. I didn't see it, but I remember the scene where this guy called you tiny,
yes,
and just throw him over.
A little bit of the actor's ego gets in the way sometimes to an effective scene.
Great. Thank you so much